而家進入第三節嘅財委會。
Members, we start the first session of our FC meeting. During the break, we had time to deal with the motions we've been receiving during the meeting.
Let's invite the Secretariat to outline the session. During the break, we received 693 motions from 6 members, apart from Mr. Fernando Chang's 645 motions. The chairman made a verdict that some of the motions are related to the agenda. So do you want me to talk about the details? 2 from Gary Fan, 5 from Chen Chi Chun, and also 1 from Sid Ho. We have 25 motions total. And we are yet to process Mr. Fernando Chang's motions. Yeah, the motions are all in our hands. Speaker's not coming through. Please don't speak at the moment. Speaker's not coming through. Chairman, you approved it. Just hold on for a second. I will ask the Secretariat for details. What was the figure you just mentioned? Shall we deal with the motions by other members first, and then we can come back to Gary Fan's motions? Maybe for particular motions, for certain technical issues, the Secretariat can make some adjustments. But all in all, we've done our very best. A lot of members haven't even had their dinners yet, and we are going to deal with some of the motions now. Let's continue with issues related to 37A. We will deal with the motions related to Rule 37A of the Finance Committee procedure. Let's deal with the 941 motions. We have 941 motions moved by Mr. Albert Chan. Mr. Albert Chan, please. Can you read out the motions? Let's ring the bell in for 1 minute. And according to Rule 37A of the Finance Committee procedure, I'd like to move the motion that a lot of property agencies have a lot of lands in Kutong North and Fanling North, and these development projects can spell a lot of interest for these developers, and a lot of developers are in control of multiple consultancies, and as such, we request the government to when recruiting and when looking at the assessment bids, we must ensure that the consultants have no relationships with the main developers in Hong Kong, and they must hire overseas-based consultants. But the government can still recruit consultancies for site investigation and the cooling systems. Let's move the motion. Let's vote for the motion.
喺我宣佈
Before I declare the result, please check your votes. Please do not make any noise.
現在停止表決。
Voting is closed. Display the result. 24 present, 7 for, 15 against, no abstention. The motion is negatived. Next motion. 942. Mr. Chen. How come we would lose with 15 here? The Democratic camp should really commit suicide. Chairman, I move that since the detailed design work of the Kutong North and Fanning North NDAs are most difficult and challenging, the responsible consultant must be experienced in new town planning. We urge that the administration should choose officials that have experience in designing at least 3 new towns in Hong Kong to be responsible for supervision of the consultancy to ensure that we can come up with the most practicable design framework. Thank you. Please do not add to the motion. Voting begins. Before I declare the result, please check the votes. Voting is closed. Display the result. 29 present, 11 yes, 17 against, no abstention. The motion is negatived. May I remind the officials that you might have other engagements, and it is up to the secretary to decide who should stay and who should go. What was the voting result? Mr. Chen. Thank you. I move then, in view of the fact that in many major infrastructure projects, he was disturbing me. He was trying to divert my attention. Shut up, please. Don't affect me. In view of the fact that in many past large projects, the cost for site investigation was higher than the actual cost. So we move that the cost be specified in the contract, and the government is not going to pay for any cost overrun. Thank you.
Voting
begins. Before I declare the result, members, please check your votes. Voting is closed. 34 present, 9 for, 24 against, no abstention. The question is negatived. The next motion, number 944, Mr. Chen. 24 present. They are afraid of losing. Chairman, I move that in view of the fact that the 2 NDAs will house more than 100,000 population, and the design may affect the look of the community, we urge that the administration, when carrying out detailed site investigation work, set up a design working group comprising only residents from Shanghai and Fanning North, but not including those living in Fanning and Kutong, so that the design can respond to aspirations of the community. Quiet, please. Voting begins. Before I declare the result, members, please check your votes. Voting is closed. Please display the result. 37 present, 12 for, 24 against, no abstention. The motion is negatived. Next, motion number 945, Mr. Albert Chen. Chairman, I move that in view of the fact that the administration said that the site investigation will not affect any declared monument, usually a lie, any graded heritage sites or historical buildings. But according to past experience, many large-scale site investigation works have damaged our historical relics. We urge that the administration specify in the tender documents that the contractor that got the contract must pay for the restoration of any cultural heritage damaged, and to ensure that there will be no damage to such sites.
請你肅靜，請你肅靜。
Quiet, please, quiet. Voting begins. Before I declare the result, members, please check your votes. Voting is closed. Display the result. 34 present, 8 for, 25 against, no abstention. The motion is negatived. Next, motion number 946. Mr. Albert Chen, I continue. Chairman, I move that in view of the fact that the administration said that the detailed investigation would include drainage capacity. In view of the large number of floods we have in Hong Kong, the drainage capacity may not be able to withstand big rainstorms, and that may threaten the northern district with floods. We urge that the administration ensure that the new drainage channels are able to cope with a rainstorm that has a 300-year return period, and to ensure that residents of anti-North NDA will not be threatened by any floods. Voting begins. Before I declare the result, members, please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. 38 present, 11 for, 25 against, no abstention. The motion is negatived. Amendment number 947, Mr. Albert Chen. Chairman, there I go again. Let me teach you for free. Since the scope of the district cooling system is closely related to the future population of the two NDAs, and yet the administration has not completed the scrutiny of the anti-North OZP. If the anti-North OZP is vetoed by the Town Planning Board, that means the future scope of development will be greatly decreased, and this will have an impact on the district cooling system, and the site investigation area may be greatly reduced as well. And therefore, we urge that the administration do not award any contract for site investigation of the district cooling system before the OZP is passed, so as not to waste any public money. Please do not add new things to the motion. Voting begins. Before I declare the result, please check your votes. Voting is closed. Display the result. 37 present, 12 for, 24 against, no abstention. The motion is negatived. Motion number 948, Mr. Albert Chen. Chairman, I move that since the administration said that The infrastructure works and site information of the two NDAs will include site investigation of 62 hectares of land, basic infrastructure, improvement expansion of the Shek-Wu-Hui sewage treatment works to provide land for relocation of the home of loving faithfulness, and a detailed design of 7 different areas. However, different areas of expertise is required. We urge the administration that when tendering for this project, the 7 items be tendered separately, and the detailed design work should be carried out by consultants that have professional knowledge on 7 different areas. Thank you. Please proceed to vote. Before I declare the result, please check your votes. Voting is closed. Display the result. 37 present, 12 for, 24 against, no abstention. The motion is negatived. Motion number 949, Mr. Albert Chen. In view of the fact that the site formation and engineering infrastructure works of the two NDAs have got the following in its paper. The administration will continue to maintain very close liaison with the people affected. Yet the Secretary for Development, Mr. Paul Chen, has yet to liaise with the people affected. So we query whether the administration would honor its undertaking. Of course, Mr. Paul Chen will not. This committee urge that during the site investigation and formation, Mr. Paul Chen should meet with the people affected on a quarterly basis, so as to understand how they have been affected and to ensure that he will live up to the undertaking in the paper. And during the construction stage, he should maintain liaison with the residents.
Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is closed. Here are the results. There are 38 present, 12 for, 25 against, and 0 abstention. The motion is negatived. The next 950 motion, number 950, Mr. Albert Chen. We request the administration to ensure when conducting the design work for Kutong North and Fanling North, the traffic flow impacts must also be assessed, and in order for the public to understand the impacts of these two development areas to the neighboring traffic. Let's start the voting. Before the results are announced, please verify your votes. Voting is closed. The results are as follows. We have 38 present, 12 for, and 25 against, and 0 abstention. The motion is negatived. Next, motion number 951, Mr. Albert Chen. Someone just used foul language. Please read out your motion. Christopher Chung used foul language, Chairman. Please read out your motion. Chairman, you have to determine whether he used foul language. Quiet, please. I'll read out this motion to the residents of NE New Territories. And since the environmental impact assessment shown that the soil of the Kutong North and Fanling North new development areas were polluted, even though the administration promised to introduce mitigation measures, there is still public concern for residents living in near to those two areas. Before you cast your vote, please verify your votes. Voting is closed. The results are as follows. We have 39 present, 11 for, and 26 against, 0 abstention. The motion is negatived. Next, motion number 952, Mr. Albert Chan. And before the OZP vetting is completed by the Town Planning Board, the administration still tries to apply for funding for the new development area zones at Kutong North and Fanling North. It shows that the government is trying to ignore the town planning process, and it is attempting to start detailed design work at the Fanling North OZP before approval from the TPB, and we request the government to respect the Town Planning Board's processes, and we urge them to take out Kutong North and Fanling North in its funding documents for the sites formation works in these two development areas, in order to ensure that the government will not carry out the detailed designing work before approval from the Town Planning Board. Let's vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is closed. The results are as follows. We have 40 present, 12 for, 26 against, and 0 abstention. The motion is negatived. Next, motion number 953, Mr. Albert Chan. Since the government is for the new development areas at Kutong North and Fanling North, the government, to save time, they would carry out the above processes simultaneously, including site formation works and detailed designing. And since the government has not completed the site's investigation works, it would not finish the site investigation works ahead of time, and we request the government to complete the site projects, the road projects, before granting the relevant engineering contracts, to ensure that the relevant engineering consultants can carry out comprehensive site investigation works without any obstruction. Let's begin the voting. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is closed. The results are as follows. We have 36 present, 11 for, 23 against, and 0 abstention. The motion is negatived. The next motion, 954, Mr. Albert Chan. Chairman. The government said for the two new development areas, detailed designing and site investigation works will be carried out, and on the landscaping works, detailed design work will be carried out. And that said, in the past, many of Hong Kong's past landscaping projects have been deemed unattractive and boring, and as such, we request the government, when they carry out the design work, they should only choose consultants with vast international experience to ensure that the new development areas would have satisfactory landscapes. Let's vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is closed. The results are as follows. Do we have a technical glitch here? Have you all pressed the button? Voting was already closed by the time you press the button. We have 36 present, 12 for, and 23 against, 0 abstention. The motion is negatived. Next, motion number 955. Mr. Albert Chan. For the site formation and basic facilities projects at Kutong North and Fanling North, the government will carry out investigation on the district cooling system. We request the government to, when taking out a tender for the district cooling system, the government should only invite consultants with 10 years of experience or more to ensure that no major errors will occur in order to prevent losses to the government. Let's vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is closed. The results are as follows. We have 38 present, 13 for, and 24 against, 0 abstention. The motion is negatived. Next, motion 956 by Sid Ho. And according to Rule 37A of the Finance Committee procedure, we urge the government to provide to the public document number PWSC 2013-1438 on the processing of the sludge. Let's vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is closed. The results are as follows. We have 37 present, 12 for, 24 against, 0 abstention. The motion is negatived. Next, 957 by Mr. Leung Yu-chung. According to the paper PWSC brackets 2013-214 number 38 paragraph 3b, during the site investigation, nuisance might be caused to the residents. The government must promise not to disrupt the daily lives of the residents before they carry out site formation works for Kutong North and Fanling North, and as well as their basic infrastructure projects. Let's vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is closed. The results are as follows. We have 37 present, 12 for, 24 against, 0 abstention. The motion is negative. The next motion, 958 by Mr. Leung Yu-chung. according to the paper PWSC brackets 2013-1438 paragraph 3b, we urge for the design companies responsible for site formation works, they must look at the facts that in the 400 or so soil samples taken from Kutong North, the level of a chemical is unusually high, and it would endanger the workers, and the company must make the commitment, and the relevant contractors must conduct a body check every 2 months for the relevant workers to ensure the health of the workers. Let's vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is closed. The results are as follows. We have 37 present, 11 for, 25 against, 0 abstention. The motion is negatived. Next motion, 959, Mr. Leung Yu-chung. The papers mentioned the site formation of a 62-acre site in Kutong North and Fanling North. And inside the Kutong North, there are still very rare traditional factories which are unique in Hong Kong. The government must assess the impacts of the relevant projects to the affected industries before carrying out site formation and facilities construction for these two NDAs. Let's vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is closed. The results are as follows. We have 37 present, 11 for, 25 against, 0 abstention. The motion is negative. The next motion, number 960 by Mr. Leung Yu-chung. According to the paper PWSC brackets 2013-1438 paragraph 3a, the government proposed the detailed design work according to paragraph 5a to g, and according to item 26 in the paper, the government will confirm the details and scope of the claimed land, and this has caused a lot of controversy. We urge the government to provide necessary compensation for the relevant residents.
Voting begins. Before I declare the result, can members check their votes, please? Voting is closed. Display the result. 38 present, 12 for, 25 against, no abstention. The motion is negatived. Next, motion 961, Mr. Leung Yu-chung. Chairman, in accordance with para 37A, beg your pardon. The Secretary has to make some adjustment. Amendment 961 should be moved by Mr. Gary Fan. In accordance with para 37 of the FC procedure, I move that for item 5B mentioned in paper PWSC 2013-1438 to ensure that the engineering infrastructure works would not be affected by the slopes and landslips, there must be careful investigation before works starts.
現在開始表決。
Voting begins. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is closed. I display the result. 38 present, 12 for, 25 against, no abstention. The motion is negatived. Motion number 962, Mr. Gary Fan. In accordance with Para 37A of FC procedure, since Para 5B of paper PWC 2013-1438 mentioned that engineering infrastructure works would include pumping stations. In order to avoid damage to the environment, a detailed EIA must be submitted before works can start.
現在開始表決。
Voting begins. Before I declare the result, please check your votes. Voting is closed. Display the result. 37 present, 11 for, 25 against, no abstention. The motion is negatived. Motion 963 by Mr. Ray Chen. In accordance with Para 37 of FC procedure, I move that, in view of the fact that the project involves employment of a large number of local workers, this committee urges the administration to ensure that before the site investigation and site formation is done, there must be proper or reasonable recruitment arrangements for local workers before the works can start. Voting begins. Before I declare the result, members, please check your votes. Voting is closed. Display the result. 38 present, 12 for, 25 against, no abstention. The motion is negatived. Motion number 964, Mr. Ray Chen. In accordance with Para 37A of the FC procedure, I move that since the two NDAs may employ non-local workers, this committee urges the administration to ensure that before the site formation and engineering infrastructure works and detailed site investigation start, there must be consultation on the employment of foreign worker to understand the local market situation before the works can start. Voting begins. Before I declare the results, members, please check your votes. Voting is closed. Display the result. 37 present, 11 for, 25 against, no abstention. The motion is negatived. Next, motion 965, Mr. Ray Chen. In accordance with para 37A of the FC procedure, I move that since the two NDAs would involve a lot of monuments, this committee urges that before the administration starts the site formation, infrastructure works, and site investigation, there must be appropriate treatment and remedial arrangements for the monuments before the works can start. Voting begins. Before I declare the result, members please check your votes. Voting is closed. Display the result. 37 present, 12 for, 24 against, no abstention. The motion is negatived. Next, motion 966, Mr. Ray Chen. In accordance with para 37A of the FC procedure, I move that since the two NDAs has got a lot of contaminated land, this committee urges the administration to start the site formation, site engineering works, and investigation, carry out sustainable clearance of the site first. Voting begins. Before I declare the result, members please check your votes. Voting is closed. Result is displayed. 38 present, 12 for, 25 against, no abstention. The motion is negatived. Motion number 967. Mr. Ray Chen. In accordance with para 37A of FC procedure, I move that since the works of the two NDAs would increase the traffic flow of the roads nearby, this committee urges the administration to carry out detailed stress tests for the traffic flow of the roads nearby before the site formation and engineering infrastructure works and site investigation can start. Voting begins. Before I declare the result, members please check your votes. Voting is closed. Display the result. 39 present, 13 for, 25 against, no abstention. The motion is negatived.
而家喺手。
So we have just dealt with motions submitted by members in the course of today's meeting, but we haven't dealt with Dr. Fernando Zhang's motions. He has submitted 670 odd. Well, for this meeting, we received 693 motions, and Dr. Fernando Zhang submitted 645 of them. And the chairman has already put all those who are in order to the committee to vote on. And then, as we proceeded, we have received another 196 motions from some members. So there are 889 motions altogether, and the Secretariat and the Chairman have yet to have time to vet whether they are in order. So the Secretary has just told us the number of motions we've received. Let me put this to you. We have taken out the more relevant motions out of the 900 odd for members to vote on. So we have done our utmost to select the motions for members to decide on. And that was quite heavy for the Secretariat and the Chairman. If motions keep coming in while we are in the course of a meeting, it is impossible for the Secretariat and the Chairman to deal with them. Where necessary, I explain to you the purpose of Para 37A. The purpose of Para 37A is to allow time for members to pause before voting on a particular item. So one member may move one motion. To allow members to deliberate before an item is put to the vote. I think that is our understanding of the effect of Para 37A. So the purpose is to allow members time to think about those motions and then to vote on them. Everyone here is doing our utmost. We have a large volume of motions, but we've only selected a few relevant ones. Well, members have their own perspectives. They would like to follow up on some policies or some areas of concern in the paper.
I've read a lot of similar motions, and our decision can hopefully achieve the purpose I mentioned. I hope the members agree that we have already done our best to process the motions. If members have any follow-up questions on the agenda items, including what has already been mentioned today, I hope the members can use other channels, for example, the panel and subcommittee meetings, and they can use these other channels to monitor the progress of such agenda items. So this is a brief summary from my side. And we, myself and the secretary have done their best to tackle issues related to Rule 37A of the FC procedure. And I've communicated in person with most of the members today, and on the basis of public interest, we are doing our very best in the process. I suggest the committee to enter the final deliberation process. The FC has a lot of items to be vetted. Please let me finish, and I will hand over the floor afterwards. If you have any questions on the agenda items, what can we do? What kind of channels can we use? You can follow up in other channels, such as the panel and subcommittee meetings. And you can follow up on the progress of the agenda items through those channels. Today, you have the right to vote for or against the motions. If you don't support the proposal, you can vote against it. We have done so much today, and hopefully the public would understand our work, and that's why we came to this decision. Just now, I had a private exchange of opinion with Mr. Fernando Chang, and I'll give him 2 or 3 minutes to explain his views before we enter the final deliberation stage, the final voting stage. Your interpretation of Rule 37A is that each member is only allowed to move one motion, or one motion moved without notice. I don't agree with your view at all. Just now during our meeting, you asked me to reduce the number of motions I move from more than 600 to about 20. I don't agree at all, and I haven't promised such move whatsoever. You said under Rule 37A, each member can only move one motion, and so as such, you said even if I don't reduce the number of motions from more than 600, you might continue the meeting using your interpretation of Rule 37A. And I repeat myself, I don't agree with your view whatsoever. I hope the legal counsel can offer its view on this issue. This is very important. Under your interpretation, in the past we have discussed Rule 37A already, and the consensus is that by a motion, it doesn't mean that each member can only raise one motion, and there should be no upper limit on the number of motions a member can raise. And on restrictions, under the rules of procedure, we have clear stipulations on the clear restrictions on the number of times a member can speak and the duration. And hopefully, can the legal counsel explain more on Rule 37A? Does it mean that each member can only move one motion without notice? I won't dwell on other items. The Secretariat will look at a set of documents and reports on the progress on the future practice for Rule 37A. If the legal counsel is happy to do so, they can elaborate. Please don't speak at the moment. We have followed up on the relevant work, and the report will be circulated to members on the development and optimizations of Rule 37A. We would have a separate discussion. We won't discuss this issue today. However, the legal counsel, if you wish, might elaborate more on this issue. Thank you, Chairman. on Rule 37A, according to the wordings, and having read both the Chinese and English versions, can each member only move one motion under a single agenda item, or there should be no upper limit on the number of motions raised? On this issue, in the middle of May, this issue had been raised by certain members, and some of them wrote to me asking for more information to aid their understanding of the rule. And we conducted a review on the original intent of Rule 37A, and this rule was passed by the FC in November 2007, and it also applies to the subcommittees under FC. And through different channels, the secretariat had shared different the relevant FC documents to explain the background of this rule, and I myself was involved in the setting up of this rule. And if we have members who were involved at that time, you might know that under the Establishment Subcommittee and Finance Committee, we had encountered scenarios in which certain members would like to convert their personal opinion to one that represents the entire panel of subcommittee. At that time, we didn't have any clear rule. And after that, in search for more clear wordings, the chairman and vice chairman of the FC and the two subcommittees raised the proposal for approval in the Finance Committee. So this is basically the background. It's a procedural provision, and it stipulates restrictions on the length and scope of the discussions and the mode of discussions. If over half of the members agree to move the motion, then it will be proceeded. And when we set up this procedure, we didn't have any discussion on whether a single motion or multiple motions can be moved by a single legislator. And having checked our records, there was no discussion. And after that, the LegCo members were allowed to move more than one motion under the same agenda item. And we seldom we didn't have a lot of motions which were passed for immediate discussion in the FC. We didn't have a lot of such cases, but we did have some. So I'd just like to report on the background of this rule. I've heard a lot of comments saying that each member can only move one motion, but having read both the Chinese and English versions, this is rather indeterminate. But from a legal point of view, even though there is no restriction in the wordings, but by the spirit of the common law, the bodies which drew up this rule, we can reasonably agree that they wouldn't set up a rule to paralyze itself or put itself in the position to be paralyzed. or put this rule put itself into jeopardy. As I mentioned last time, the purpose of the Finance Committee it's set up under the Public Finance Ordinance to carry out statutory functions, and its job is to vet financial proposals. So they should make decisions within a reasonable time frame. This provision is a procedural provision, so at the end of the day, the chairman of the committee should exercise its responsibility to properly manage and facilitate the discussions and allow all members to have a fair chance of discussing the motions. So this is the responsibility of the chairman. The rules of procedure also stipulate that the committee chairman has the final decision. I'm sorry for using up so much time here. I've also made written replies to members who made an inquiry on this issue. I'd like to thank the legal counsel for this very detailed explanation. And I'd also like to thank Mr. Fernando Cheung for raising this issue. This is a key issue which should be tackled today. So I think the problem has been addressed. So before the final voting, let's get this out of the way. And on the agenda, and we have stated that we will tackle the issues related to Rule 37A as far as possible. Let me repeat myself, excuse me. We have already agreed with the members that from 7 to 7:40 we would invite the members for discussion. So I have to respect the members' will to discuss or not to discuss the issues. Just now, the legal counsel has said that we must have a reasonable degree of consideration.
As the chairman, I've made my final decision, and I don't intend to engage in any debate with the members here. The speakers are off mic. May I remind you once again that should there be any further debates with the chairman, I'll have to invoke Para 45. I have no other choice. All right, silence, please. Order. We've already dealt with all motions in accordance with Rule 37A. The chairman's decision is final, and I will bear the ultimate responsibility. So please, do not continue this disturbance. Silence, please. Otherwise, I will invoke Para 45. The speakers are off mic. Mr. Albert Chen. Mr. Albert Chen. Please, sit down, please. I have a point of order. I have heard all questions in relation to point of order. Please, quiet at once. If anyone continues to make a noise, I have no choice but to invite the staff to, all right, a very short point of order, Mr. Chen. All right, if you have declared a deadline, I would argue with you whether that declaration was valid. But in fact, you have never declared a deadline. You asked us to join you in a meeting. I asked you what the meeting would be about. You didn't tell us. I asked whether it could be an open meeting. You said no. So you never said a word about a deadline for putting in motions. I have no intention to debate with you. This is not a debate. Well, you didn't tell us that there was a deadline. Now, this is the last time. If you still invoke a point of order, I can tell you that I've already told you that in between 7 and 7:40, I told members that should there be any further motions, please let us have them within that period for the Secretary and myself to consider. Stop at once. Let me repeat once again. I made myself very clear in relation to these procedures. I invited all members who had moved motions or who were about to move motions to join me in that meeting. Please, silence at once. Can you speak one by one? A point of order, Chairman. Or I allow this last point of order. I can allow a very short speech on a point of order. Mr. Raymond Wong, a very short point. Well, now you had a meeting in camera with members who moved motions. I'm not aware of it. Can you tell me once again? Because I could have joined your meeting. I could have joined that meeting. All right, please sit down after you are done. I didn't know. Mr. Raymond Wong, please be seated after you have spoken. Please be seated. I'll let you know. Speakers off mic. Order, please. Quiet. Mr. Raymond Wong, have you finished? All right, you have finished speaking. My reply to your question is, what was that meeting about? To deal with motions moved under Para 37A, we had to discuss with the Secretariat what motions were related to this item and that could be voted on by members. So we invited members who wanted to move motions under Para 37A. Well, you didn't. Speaker was off mic. I won't argue with you anymore. I told you what the situation was. Order, please. Should there be further disturbance? Speaker is off mic. The speaker's mic is not on. Perhaps you didn't hear the last sentence by the legal advisor. The chairman of this committee has the final say. Speaker is off mic. The speaker is off mic. Okay, one by one, please. Mr. Raymond Wong, I already replied to your query, so please sit down. Mr. Lee Chuk-yen, Chairman, in fact, you have shifted the goalpost. You invited people to discuss with you motions under 37A. But what you said was not mentioned previously. You did not mention a deadline, after which motions under 37A would not be dealt with. Do you admit that? Because you said as if when you invited members to a meeting with you, you already announced a deadline. In fact, you didn't. Since you haven't, you should withdraw your remarks that you did announce a deadline for moving motions. All right, please stop here. All right, just a very short supplement. Before we ended the second session, we had dealt with all the motions we had at hand, and I asked whether there would be further motions, and I invited all members into room 4 for communication and study, and some members joined us. At any rate, please allow me to finish first. Before we had that meeting, we mentioned the number of motions we had received, and we were going to deal with all those motions in one go inside that room. All right. We have entered into the final stage of this item, and that is voting. Point of order. All right, Dr. Priscilla Leung. I think our legal advisor, Mr. Jimmy Ma, made it very clear. Para 37A was made not with the intention to paralyze the meeting, and ultimately it is for the chairman to decide. So I urge the chairman to make a decision as soon as possible. So please respect the meeting and follow our procedures. Mr. Raymond Wong. Mr. Gary Fan, the last. I've waited for too long. There are at least 5 to 6 members who have moved motions. And then before we adjourned at 7 p.m., pause, please. Mr. Raymond Wong, please return to your seat. All right, please return to your seat. All right, please. Members, please return to your seats. Okay, we suspend the meeting for 5 minutes.